What's up, everybody? It's your guy on the road with L29 and Tadpole Trucker. It is March the 11th, 2026, and I'd like to say welcome to the show. Remember, guys, there's things out there that you can't explain, and there's stuff that people don't like to talk about, and there's things that people whisper at night because they're too scared to say aloud. But sometimes if you listen close, you just might hear a tale from the road. All right, guys, we're going to jump right in. L29 is going to take it over for a little bit. He's got a really cool subject. This show's going to be pretty nice. It's a little different about America. We're going to switch gears here to another country. And I'm not going to spoil the surprise. I'm going to let L29 take it over. And we're going to interject and interdict and go from there, see where it takes us. All right, L29, go ahead and take over. And let's see what you got from Japan, right?
Absolutely. Got a couple stories from Japan that I'd like to go over with you guys, see what you guys think. The overall topic is on onryōs, which are vengeful spirits, typically female spirits that have been unable to pass on due to them being wronged greatly in their life, possibly even murdered right before they become what they become. The two legends that I want to go over are Kuchisake-Onna, which translates to English as the slit-faced woman, and Teke-Teke, which I haven't quite found a English variation for.
So either one you want in there, I'm fine with it. Or they both sound
Which
really
one of those
intriguing.
you guys want to hear about first?
I'd like to hear about the Teke-Teke because I kind of was reading up on some of the material you gave me, and to be honest, I read through a lot of it, but the Teke-Teke is just, I don't know, it just seems pretty terrifying to me because it holds true to some American origins and some other legends and urban myths, and I would love to talk about that. But before we talk about it, explain what it is. Let me know. Is it a spirit demon? Let's tell the viewers exactly what this thing is, because this thing's terrifying. Go for it.
Sure. There's different thoughts on what it could possibly be. As I mentioned, an onryō is what I believe it to be, which is a spirit that has a motive of powerful vengeance. Also could be considered a yokai, which is the Japanese word for demon, if I remember my notes correctly. And there are several other yokai that there's some friendly, some terrifying, such as the ones we're going over. But let's get into what Teke-Teke looks like. Teke-Teke is a vengeful spirit who lurks in urban areas. She typically is around train stations, train tracks. She does not have a lower body and drags herself with her hands, making a sound that resembles her name, Teke-Teke, which could be produced by her elbows or body scraping the ground. If she encounters someone, she'll chase them and slice them in half at the waist, killing them in a way that mimics her own disfigurement. There are stories from all the way back in 5 AD and stories as recently as World War II, where people have seen this spirit. And the fun part about it is, once you've heard this story, is she's coming after you. So I guess we all have that to look forward to.
Whoa. So you're telling me, hold on now. So you're telling me that because you just told us the story and all the listeners or if they tell the story, now they're going to get approached by this entity, supposedly, allegedly.
Yes,
That's a bomb to throw on us.
Well, that's a lot of fun there, L29.
I mean,
is there a reason?
I've got train tracks right outside.
Well, here's
my door
the thing:
at home,
are you telling me this story because you know it's coming after you? But no, all serious. So, why is this being? What is she like? Okay, so she could be a demon or a disembodied spirit. Why is she disembodied? Why is she a demon? And what happened to the spirit to make her come after? And then the story. How does the story invoke the presence of the beast? Is it a curse? Is it a jinn thing? Or is it just the way that the spirit adapts herself to the culmination of her tragedy? And also, why is she only half a spirit?
So we can talk about why she's been half a spirit. There's been legends where she's been dismembered by a train, which tracks with her being around train tracks most of the time, where there are some versions of the legend where she was tied to the tracks. I'm sure you guys can envision like old Looney Tunes and such, where a young woman's tied up on the tracks and someone comes to save her. Well, this didn't happen to this poor soul. She got cut right in half. The story actually predate the Teke-Teke. I'm sorry. There's a predecessing story to it, following the legless spirit of Kuchisake-Onna, which is also a legless creature, demon, whatever, and she will ask people in bathroom stalls, because that's where this one tends to roam, the Kuchisake-Onna. Will ask them if they know where her legs are, and if it doesn't find your answer acceptable, she will either rip or cut them in half. But you can survive that counter by replying that her legs are on the Mission Expressway, or by responding with the phrase "Kamenshinanma," which translates to the mask of death demon. So
let me ask you a question: is this demon a typical demon that we know of in the American culture, where it can possess people, or is it just strictly a vengeful, spiteful demon because of its plight? And also, on a third question, this demon, is it a fallen angel like Lucifer? Did it make the fall, or is this something that, I mean, it's a Japanese demon, but demons theoretically, theologically, true demons are supposedly fallen angels that followed Lucifer into the fall when the archangel smote him to the earth. So is this one of those demons? So those three questions, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'm unsure if it would be considered a demon in the sense of that we all are familiar with here as hosts on the show, but it could very well be a fallen demon, because, as you know, a third of the angels from heaven fell with Lucifer, so there's plenty to go with on that. And there's things like the crossbred giants and some of the removed books of the Bible, if you want to get into that. But
well, can she possess other entities, other humans?
No, she's not able to possess them. This one is, she definitely can hurt you, as you can see.
So in the fall of Lucifer, for instance, if she were a demon in the traditional sense, then a demon may have been watching her plight and took resonance in her agony, possessed her dead corpse or spirit, or captured her soul per se, and turned her into what she is and used its demonic influence on her maybe? Or is it more like, no, she was a demon when she was alive as well, and she just turned in her true form? Because either the demon had to have possessed her, or it would have came to be, or is it just a malevolent evil spirit that works for demons? That could be like a jinn, so to speak.
Right. You keep mentioning jinn, which is, I believe, out of the Arabic origin, where I keep using the Japanese because that's what I'm more familiar with, onryō, which, as I've mentioned, is a grudge or vengeful spirit. I think it could be a demon that has possessed a corpse. I believe that may have a more reaching aspect to be able to hurt people in this realm,
what if
rather than just trying
so
to hurt people
I've
through
heard
the
and
spiritual
I've
realm.
read certain
What are you guys'
instances
thoughts
where
on
the more that it feeds on certain things, like fear, for instance, the more it gets closer to us, the more it becomes more abstract or concrete. It becomes stronger and more formed the more it preys on everything. What if it's just getting stronger and it seems more real and it's more solid because it's done got so many victims and it keeps getting victims that before long, she's here permanently.
Sure, that's a definitely a good thing to think about. Some people believe even just thoughts of these creatures, demons, what have you, give them power enough to represent themselves or manifest themselves in our realm. They definitely feed off fear and negative emotions, hate, loathing. Like any negative emotions, they just go for, and if they can manipulate someone to express those emotions, they definitely feed off that. But in this story, she does look for trying to take your legs so she can have a pair of legs back. There is a story that I came across.
Go ahead.
By Lilac on Reddit. If you want me to read that, I can go ahead. Alright. Titled Beware of the Teke-Teke. Again, by Lilac. I recently took a trip to Japan to study abroad for a semester. While there, I made many friends who told me all about history of this beautiful country in case I came back to visit. One thing to know about Japan is that advanced tech and cutesy anime characters almost wholly cover up the horrors lurking in the shadows. Unfortunately, I had a painfully terrifying experience with said horrors, which is the whole point of this post. Anyways, it's a Saturday night, and my friends and I went bar hopping from Kyoto to Osaka, which, since it's only about a 25-minute train ride, we were all pretty tipsy, fumbling and stumbling around each other at the bar. We got thrown out of 2 bars at that point, and we were probably going to get thrown out again. My friends were arguing with the security guards and other tipsy folks, and the mood was killed. I had sobered up, but I was still courteous and apologized profusely, practically dragging my friends out of the bar. After all of that, I called a taxi and went on my way. I had spent so much that night, I decided to take a 20-minute back to my dorm. There was still a good amount of people walking the street, so I felt a little bit more comfortable. Still stumbling around, I decided to take a shortcut through a nearby park. I know what you're all thinking. In horror movies, taking shortcuts always ends up with someone dying. However, it was freezing cold outside, and the path was the quickest to my dorm. I walked through the park with my hands in my pockets, hunched over to protect my face from the cold air. Quick footsteps could be heard from behind me. Turning, I didn't see anyone, so I pressed forward. Immediately after I turned back around, the footsteps continued. It was as if a child was running towards the park barefoot. I glanced around the area, but still nothing. I turned back around, and that's when my nightmare became my reality. There, lit up by the dim street poles, was a woman lying flat on her stomach, staring at me. From what I could see, the woman's hair was unkempt and all over the place. I squinted before shouting, "Hello?" The woman had no reaction, so I assumed she couldn't understand my drunken words. I tried my best to sound sober and repeated myself, "Hello? Why are you on the floor?" I took a step towards the woman, thinking she needed help. The woman propped herself up on her hands, revealing the non-existent lower half of her body. I slowly backed away, to which she moved closer. Something on the ground sparkled next to the woman in the moonlight. I could barely make it out, but it looked like a scythe of some sort. The woman let out a husky sigh before speaking. "Where are my legs?" The woman looked around before fixing her gaze back on me. I had no clue what to say to the woman, so I just replied, "I don't know." She tilted her head at me an inch closer. "Do you need your legs?" At that point, I was fully sober. Thoughts ran circles in my head as I contemplated what to say next. I wondered what my friends were doing, if they had made it home safely, or if they were having the same encounter I was. I snapped out of my thoughts when I realized the woman was no longer under the street poles. After some time of looking around for the woman, I felt a slight stinging pain in my thigh. I peered down, and there she was, staring at me. Blood seeped from my leg and dripped onto the woman's face. Analyzing the woman, I noticed that she seemed to be a teenager and she wore a school uniform. In her hand was the scythe from earlier. I put two and two together and realized that she had just cut me. Her face was riddled with bruises and dirt. Her eyes were big and doll-like. "Do you need your legs?" Her voice sounded aggravated. What kind of question is that? I cautiously eyed the young woman as a smirk grew across her face. Within seconds, she raised her scythe in the air and slashed my leg again. I immediately started sprinting for my life as loud pattering sounds grew closer and closer to me. Exiting the park, I turned a sharp corner, hoping to distance myself from the girl. The little path took me to the main streets of Osaka, but it was completely dead. Nobody was on the roads like previously, and the surrounding billboards and lights were off. I glanced behind me, only to see the girl using her hands to get closer to me. My leg ached as I grew tired. As I continued, I recognized the area, and soon enough, my campus was in sight. I managed to throw myself at the door, shattering it into pieces. I screamed, hoping anyone would come out and help. The girl was still a ways away from me, so I took the chance to use the elevator. Pressing the button, I grew more and more impatient. The door opened. I saw my doormate staring at me in confusion. "I thought you were going out." I shoved her and got into the elevator, pressing all of the buttons. She glanced around until her eyes fell on the girl, who smirked back at her as the doors closed. At this point, the adrenaline had died, and I collapsed into my friend's arms. I sobbed into her shoulder as her grip tightened on me. Who the hell was that, and why was she missing her legs? My breathing hitched as the elevator stopped on the highest floor. We got out and met up with a floor assistant who guided us to the infirmary to wrap the wounds on my body. I recounted my encounter with the girl to everyone in the room. "You've met the Teke-Teke," the assistant said in a soft voice. Supposedly, the young girl had fallen onto a railway line and was cut in half by an oncoming train. I was told she wanders around cities in search of her legs and will approach people. She'll ask them questions about her legs. Depending on their answers, she'll either leave them alone, chase them, cut them in half, and take their legs. I learned that I was one of the few people that had managed to escape from her. I have since left Japan and returned back to my hometown with my family. My mind, to this day, cannot process what I've experienced.
In the escape. So, is that a true escape, or do you think that this entity is going to be after this man forever? I mean, you can't escape it. Is this not true?
You can escape it. Remember, there's ways that you give her an answer about where her legs are, that she believes she'll go into the night looking for her legs. But most of the time, she will try to take your legs in some manner.
Well, the thing is it almost sounds demonic. I mean, what do you think there, Temple? Like, what? It doesn't sound like a spirit to me. That sounds really demonic.
It sounds demonic, but then part of you wonders, what if it's the alcohol talking and they thought something up because they heard that story, or, It's scary when you think
Well,
about it, but
is it the alcohol or is it who in the story? Who?
I mean, they were pretty drunk.
Who? You cut out real bad. You have to start over. You cut out really bad. Who told him that was the Teke-Teke again?
That was a floor assistant. So if you think about like the,
but who identified
the leader of like
who
a dorm.
Okay, so the closest entity on a cross reference to that on a which really brings to mind from hearing that story, okay, just comes to mind. I just have to put it out there. The closest mutilated horror spirit to that in North America, I'm fixing to blow your mind, is the Wendigo. It appears suddenly to travelers in isolated places. It associated with a violent death and transformation. It's often linked to unnatural movement, terrifying speed, and stories warn people about encounters in remote areas. The only difference is the Wendigo is a monster, possessed human, not a ghost. But there again, see the similarities there? Also, the Fresno Nightcrawler. It's only a half of a torso. It appears late at night and often seen near roads or yards in America. It's just kind of I'm trying to find out, like, it's almost like these spirits are the same spirit, but they're different spirits, but you could always find something similar all across the world.
Nightcrawler might be a more similar example than.
Does that make sense?
Because, as you mentioned, the Wendigo is out in
Are you there?
the middle of nowhere, where the Fresno Nightcrawler and Teke-Teke are.
Hold on, I lost you. What was that? Say that again.
The Wendigo is probably not the best example because the Wendigo is out in rural areas.
Well, no. I didn't mean that it was the same. I'm just saying there's similar things there, which makes me think maybe demon because they're isolated areas or they're populated areas, but they're after certain people. It's just a similar thing. It's not the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Like the Fresno Nightcrawler that you mentioned, I think is a lot closer. It may even be the same entity, but Americanized.
Yeah, it's just a real odd thing that some of these spirits share the same similar traits. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how they all go like hand in hand, one way or another. They may do different things. They may come from different places, but at the end, over 90% of them are there to do the same thing, to terrify you. But
I almost want to say that that's rooted with the grin and the grimace. It's definitely a sentient. It's not something that's just like commanded to get blood. It enjoys what it's doing. That's why I think it's almost demonic, because it doesn't regret or hate or want to not do this. It seems like it takes pleasure in following its rules and doing its thing, and like the drawing of blood when it was in the elevator and it smiled at the girl, like that was creepy. I mean, could you imagine this thing like crawling and it's fast and you look down and she's smiling at you? I mean, that's something that takes pleasure and fear, you know. So that to me, a spirit, if you think about a typical haunting or a typical ghost, you don't find a lot of pleasure in it. You only find pleasure in demonic hauntings and demonic infestations, or demonic infestations of houses. So it's just reminiscent of that to me. You know, it's just very, it's nasty feeling. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally get that. This being a demon, whatever it may be, definitely finds pleasure in it. As you mentioned, the smiling and drawing of blood, which is typically associated with demonic stuff.
I mean, cryptids, shapeshifters, and roadside spirits. You know, Japanese have their own thing, but it's just so similar. Not the whole way, but in comparison to certain things, it is so similar to how some of these like skinwalkers, the way they stalk their prey and stuff.
It's very how they are similar,
the same kind of way. So it could be a demonic influence. There is what I'm saying. Go ahead, Temple.
Rod, you cutting out on us so bad, buddy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I am. Hold on, okay, so that to me, now that we got our signal back, we're back. This is all, like I said, the Wendigo and so forth. It's all renditions of a rendition, but at the end of the day, it just feels very demonic. It feels very demonic to me, and it feels not like a spirit. It almost feels like a hunting, like you're hunting prey, like almost like she's purposefully choosing certain people. It's that's what it feels to me.
Well, I could see that. Like, she's going after folks that probably have some really good legs because she's trying to replace the legs she don't have.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I think it's demonic. I mean, I don't not like it. I love the subject. What do you think about this, Tadpole? Like, renditions to American, evil entities, Black Dog, Wendigo, Skinwalker. What do you think?
I think it's just even more terrifying, just the fact that she seems all innocent at first, and then once you realize you done fucked up, it's too late. I think it all goes hand in hand. Excuse me. I think it all goes hand in hand because once you acknowledge it, and they've already completed what they were here for, once you already realize it, it's too freaking late.
It's almost like are these people somehow conjuring this entity? Are they irritating it in a way that becomes them? Are they bringing in some kind of evil into their life? Like when gypsies curse people or people practice witchcraft? Or do you think, Richard, that this is something darker and more malevolent and it's not a plan, but it's more like a targeted incident?
I think it's more of a targeted incident. As I said, I believe it's an onryō or a spirit that's seeking vengeance, and I feel it may be a misguided spirit where just anyone with legs is open target for this individual because she feels she's lost her legs.
And handicapped people, they're out.
Right.
They're just out. If you don't have legs, you're safe, is what you're saying.
That's what I think, yes.
Okay. And what's the next spirit that we have to bring up? The next Japanese entity?
The other one I wanted to look at was the Kuchisake-Onna, or the slit-mouthed woman in English.
Okay, now let's go into that for a second. Let's describe what that is.
Sure. It is another onryō. Her appearance is pretty consistent from different regions that she's been spotted. A young woman in her 20s, long black hair down to her waist, wearing a pale coat even in the heat of summer, and will always be wearing a mask that is far too large for her face. She is incredibly beautiful, typically, and will likely smell of a cheap pomade, which is a hair product from the 70s.
So what is her function? Is she a evil demon, a Japanese myth? What is her primary thing that she goes after?
She typically goes after children.
Wow.
And goes after, will mutilate them depending on the answer given.
And the name of that is?
You want the English or the Japanese?
Japanese.
Kuchisake-Onna.
Well, I will tell you that this is the end of our episode. And guys, if you want to hear about this next entity, we have a part 2. The very next episode, we are going to digress this demon entity Japanese. We're also going to get into some other demons, other entities from maybe America. And stay tuned for episode 2 of this series. And you will hear the other part of that, because I'd love to hear that rendition. So, in all, if you're walking at night and you guys see these things and hear these things, I'll be aware that some of these creatures and these entities are out to maliciously harm you, attach themselves to you, or hurt your family. When you look around in the dark, you do find things. It's okay to talk about these things and investigate these things. But, however, when you invoke evil, when you invoke demons, when you actually have the thing that they want to feed off of, that's when you have to worry. So just remember that in the future going forward, if you're ever out in the world and you encounter one of these creatures or entities. L29, very good presentation tonight. Any thoughts for the last little in here?
Just be aware of your surroundings, pay attention, and if you guys got a story you want to share, send it on in to any one of us.
Right on. What about you there, Mr. Tadpole? Anything that you'd like to say to the viewers?
I've got a question. Where are my legs?
Oh, I'm not answering that. Okay, guys. We also set up a TFTR_media at reddit.com. That's TFTR_media at reddit.com to make it more accessible so you can send in your stories. You can always catch us at talesfromtheroadmedia@gmail.com. Tales from the Road Facebook group. You can also hit tadpoletrucker@gmail.com and your guy on the road @gmail.com. Guys, you have so many ways to get a hold of us. Remember this. Late at night when you're walking around and you see something creeping and you see something walking, and you look around the corner and you see that shadow, and you're going to tell somebody something and they hear it, remember, that could also be a tale from the road. Until next time, guys, survive and stay alive. Peace.